So everything in creation is beautiful, and every action is beautiful and perfect in the eyes of God, or from the perspective of the absolute reality. And here's the thing, everything is made of light. Light is the substance of creation. There's just different frequencies of light. Everything that we can see, feel, hear, touch, experience, it's all light. There is no darkness in the sense. It doesn't exist. And there's just coverings to where we're not aware of the fullness of the light. And light and dark have nothing to do with the skin tone, by the way. This is a human construct. All colors are made of light. All substances are made of light. All sounds are made of light. Everything is light. And this light is beautiful. So there's absolutely nothing that we can do that is not beautiful from this perspective of the absolute, or of God. Now, that might sound confusing because there's things that people do, there's things that happen that seem horrible because there is suffering. That suffering is also beautiful. But back to the coverings. So we are all at our deepest core that spark of light, that spark of the divine. It's like the light, when you light a candle from a match or from another candle, the original light doesn't go out. It just increases and grows and grows. That's the nature of light. There is no diminishment of the original light when there's more light, but it's all growth from that original light. Just like, though, if you have a light, let's say a light bulb, and there's a covering or a shade over it, that light is not as bright. And if you have many shades over it, it is less and less light. Even the shade is made of light, but that's a whole nother story. But in the yoga sense, there's an understanding of the human being as being many coverings on this inner spark, which is our true nature, which is our true self. So the covering that we are most used to seeing is the physical body. They call this Anandamyakosha. Kosha means a covering or a body. So we have Anandamyakosha, which is the food sheath. It's our physical body that's made out of food. Then we have Pranamayakosha, which is the pranic sheath. It's the body that's made of energy. So we take this in through breathing, eating, drinking, sleeping, and exercise. That's the energetic body. The energetic body mediates between the physical, mental, and emotional bodies, which there's two kinds of mental bodies. So one is the emotional mental body, Manamayakosha. This is the one that experiences emotions, that experiences happiness, sadness, and so on. This is one of the coverings. And you can think of it in terms of a body that has consistency. So if you know your friend and they have a certain personality that's consistent over time, that you see showing up in a certain way, it's not a physical body that you can touch, taste, smell, but it has a certain structure and not permanence, but a sort of relative permanence. After Manamayakosha, there is Vijnanamayakosha, and this is the higher mental body, the intellect. So this is the body that makes decisions, the thinking body. What we think of as intellect is in this body. The mind sheath. in yogic terms, manas is also mind, but in the Western terminology, what we're used to thinking of as mind is like Vijnanamayakosha, whereas Manamayakosha is more like emotions. So we have Anandamyakosha, the physical body, food sheath, Pranamayakosha, the energetic body, which mediates between physical and mental. We have Manamayakosha, emotional body, and Vijnanamayakosha, the intellectual. So the way that the Pranamayakosha mediates between them, if you think about when you are stressed or anxious, you take shallow breaths. When you are relaxed, you take deep breaths. And this way of breathing can also elicit those states of mind. So if you start breathing, you can create anxiety in your mind. If you breathe deep, you can create relaxation and balance in the mind. There's many other breathing exercises that create different states of mind and body. This is the whole science of pranayama. Then we have Anandamyakosha. This is the bliss sheath. It's the closest one to who we really are, but it's still a sheath. It's still a covering. So this is what we call the causal body, or the deepest body. So that's the one, our experience of bliss. Many people reach that in meditation or deep sleep. This is the closest to who we really are. But it's not who we really are. Who we really are is that spark of light under that. So everything that's covering on this spark of light is showing to a greater or lesser degree some aspect of that light. And so everything we do is beautiful and perfect. That doesn't mean that we should go through life just mindlessly doing anything. If we want to, that's our choice, right? We have free will, but because the human being has this true nature that is part of God, and all of creation has this true nature, our tendency is to go back. Our tendency is to always want to go back. And so even if it's misdirected, the intention of all of our actions is always to take us back to that true self within. And so from God's perspective, we always have this intention, even when our actions actually take us further from it. So the thing is, we have a choice. Do we want to experience suffering? Or do we want to experience bliss and higher than bliss, that unity with God or unity with who we are? So with all of our actions, we have that choice. But it's important to know what I started with was saying that everything is beautiful. All of our actions are beautiful because there's no reason for guilt or regret. Because we've learned from everything we've done, even if we can't remember it consciously, there's a learning that takes place. And there's a learning that takes place in all of our bodies. There is what are called samskaras, if you will, and these are karmic kind of scars or wrinkles. And oftentimes karma is thought of as bad, but it's not bad, it's just lessons that we've learned. And then we've learned that if I do X, Y happens, and I get to make a choice. I can do X and keep creating Y, or if I don't like Y, I can do A and create B, because I like B better. So there is no per se right and wrong. I might get a lot of, backlash for saying that, but it's what creates what we want, what creates that nearness to who we really are, what creates what brings us closer to God or further away. And we just have a choice which one we want.